Welcome, everybody, to this Sunday League Race 100. We started in Belgium back in October 2020, and here for the final time under the Sunday League name in March 2023. It's been an absolute journey to 100 races in the competition, and it's a huge, huge landmark for us all. I'm joined here for commentary by Hetmanica.
That is, in fact, me.
That is, in fact, you. As we see the first laps of qualifying, Hernandi, the man we were on board with, setting a great 23.20 as a provisional pole time. This is the 100th race. We're at Monaco, probably the most historic track in Sunday League, and Nomskar has won the only 2 races ran at this very circuit. How do you fancy his chances today?
Of course, very good. He's always been good at this track. His teammate, Kubo, has also been looking pretty good. I think the FLFs are my big bets for surprises of the day. I mean, no, it's not really a surprise, obviously, but my picks for the day to be in the podium. Nuno's final race, he'll want to win this one. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Final ever race for 5-time now world champion Nuno. But as they come across the line, Nuno is the one to improve, and he will go with a 23.12 in the blue RMC for this race, the Gulf livery here at Monaco. And in Nuno's last race before retirement, he will take his final pole position. Hernandi in the LSA car will start on the front row alongside him. Buda will start third ahead of Nomskar, the driver who has been tipped to replace for next season at FLF. Antti will start 5th ahead of the other FLF of Kubo, starting up in 6th position, a great starting spot for him. Then we've got a really interesting 4th row of the grid. It's Kado heading off Kraft, 7th and 8th for those 2 drivers. Danimator only 9th, and Sobel 10th. Starting position is absolutely crucial in Monaco, particularly surviving the early laps as well. Pamusha starts 11th ahead of Grandi, then Suicide in a respectable 13th ahead of Uris and his team at Guetzli. Then we've got Jaruni and Corvid, the FGRs, with a poor qualifying at 16th and 17th position, and Andries will start dead last, but under 2/3 of a second separating pole from the back of the grid. So that's a fantastically close quali session. Your predictions for the race?
Kraft, good quali for him. I'm seeing in the crowd a lot of good sentiment towards him. And still backing Noms, obviously, he's good at this track. Nuno showing that he does have pace to win, as he usually does. So
it would be hard pressed to say that Nuno 32 wins into his career. I think that's just over half of all the races that he's been in, which is ridiculous. Yeah, he's got the winning gene. But let's see if Hernandi can, for the first time this season, win in Sunday League. He's won in every season, going back to season 9, one in Greece there, one in Hungary, his home Grand Prix in SLX, and he might be able to take victory in Monaco in that historic LSA car. They're running a special livery for the 100th race, just as they did back in season 4 in Monaco as well, taking that awesome red and blue livery that got passed down through the ages, eventually ending up with Scuderia Paracaro. So that's a little bit of Sunday League trivia for you. This is the final race as the Sunday League competition. It's the 100th race, and it is Nuno's final ever race in the competition. We are moments away from getting started here in Monaco, a track that's been dubbed as one of the most chaotic that you can find on any calendar due to the absolute proximity of the walls and just the general feeling of the track. It can be so crashy, and obviously there's nowhere for drivers to go when they get driven off the track. It should be a great one. Goose, what do you think? Any predictions for the race?
It's very interesting that Nuno and Hernandi are starting ahead of Buda and Nomskar. Buda was the only driver to out-time trial Nomskar, so that Nuno and Hernandi are starting 1-2. That's going to really make this an interesting race.
We'll have to see how the second row can perform, because any of those drivers, particularly in that top 4, look a great shout to be able to win the race. So you couldn't put it past any of them.
The drivers are ready to go.
Absolutely. And here we go. 60 laps of Monaco ahead of us. It's the Monaco Grand Prix, and we're underway for the last time in Season 11. Nuno immediately moves across to cover off Hernandi, but will that be enough as Hernandi on the softs might get the better run up through the chicane section to start off the lap as they come down to Portier. Noms, they're going 4 wide in the background. Nuno still just holding the lead for the time being, 3 wide into the chicane section, and Nuno still maintains the lead. Anti there as well. Kubo up into 4th position. We've got a bit of a crash in the background, and Kraft looks to come off badly from that. Him and Cado and Suicide all in a bit of a collision as well, but the flow forces run in 5th and 4th. It's Nuno now down to 3rd, and Buddha on the soft has made his way through. The mediums and the hards and the softs all looking very equally split among the grid. That's pretty incredible to see. I think we might actually have a third of the drivers on each tyre. That's incredible. Just incredible. Long tyre longevity here in Monaco, of course, because it's a street track. You're not burning away your rubber too much. We've got a huge train here. Grandi throws Kubo wide into the wall, and Danimated Giruni with a huge collision there as well. Cado's up in 6th position. This is a huge train that Nomskar is leading now. He's currently running... Oh, Cado and Hernandi fall slightly wide. Anyone into the pit lane. That's a very risky entrance there, but nobody in there. Nomskar in 4th place is leading a huge train of cars. Then the he's just in 5th place at the moment. Then we've got the cars ahead. We've got a weird thing. Oh, of course, sorry. Got the fastest laps going. It's currently Nomskar absolutely in 4th place, and Anti in 3rd, Nuno in 2nd, and Buddha currently leading the way. This front 3 is a real train. Noms, followed by Pamushas. Then it's the LSA's Hernandi off the front row, and he's down currently in 7th position. Pamushas going to make that a difficult overtake for him to make. Anything going on as Pimu comes to nearly complete stop in the hairpin section? What's happened here?
Jeru went into the wall at the top middle section of the chicane, stopped Danimator, and I think it was a BAR, stopped them like dead in their tracks. 3 cars just from to like 0 kilometers an hour instantly. That's
a huge collision there. And yeah, Kraft and Giruni down. Well, Giruni's made up a few places at the start. Oh, we just had a little flick of lag there. Let's hope that fixes up. We had some lag last race, of course. We're hoping for less today. But you can see you've got the prominent trains of cars. We'll increase the zoom just to get a slightly better view on it. Giruni currently in this pack with Eurus and Danimator. It's disappointing for Danny, you have to say, as the man who looked a close competitor for the title. He's able to get through on Jeru and Eurus as they come together, and Jeru gets a penalty. Danny and Eurus now going side by side, but this is only over 13th position. Nuno already wrapped up the championship, and Buddha has been the real man with the late season form, and it's been fantastic to see from him. He's clawed back through, and we'll have our man in the pit lane, Gay Mongoose, having a look at that fight over 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship, because that is very, very tight numerically. Of course, even tighter with Buddha not getting the race win after some FIA homologation following the Dutch Grand Prix. It's determined that he wrongfully forced a driver off the track and had to give back the position, and that's exactly what's happened in the results screens. Cado running in 8th place at the moment, the light blue Gulf RMC, and Grandi dives into pit lane. He looks like our first stopper of the race, comes into the lane off his softs, and he's going to go on to some more soft compound tyres. Suicide also in behind. These front 3 still very much in a pack, and Anti, who won in Central Park, then missed the next race, has had a pretty turbulent season, but definitely will be happy that he broke at last that streak of having not taken a race win. He might be able to take another one today. Nomskar will have to close down. We'll see how he can do, but this should be a cracking race ahead of us. Your thoughts on the first 10 laps? Go on.
The Animator's the first one into the pits. He was stuck behind the Lynx cars. I was watching him for the last 2 laps. He was stuck a bit behind the Lynx cars, trying to overtake. But then, of course, because it's such a tight track, it's hard to take 2 different lines. So then, at the bottom, at the chicane, they'd go into the gravel, or at the top left, you get a little bit of a squeeze, and you just get squeezed into the wall. So yeah, not the race the Animator's looking for so far, I think.
Maybe not. Definitely, yeah, down in 17th position. Of course, he is one of 4 drivers who has made that first stop of the race. But, Anti goes in 2. That's really interesting to see. We've heard from Nuno before the race that these tyres can apparently just run and run and run and run. So they'll be hoping perhaps for a little bit of rain maybe for those who haven't stopped yet. That would be Nuno, Buddha, Nomskar, Pamushas, and Kubo. Anti, our highest stopper. He's ahead of Cado and Corvid, Kraft, and Eurus, all who haven't stopped. Giruni, Gwetsley, and Andres, who DNF'd the last Monaco Grand Prix. If you cast your mind 5.5 seasons back to midway through season 6, that was when we last grace the streets of the Principality. But he'll be looking for some redemption here today. As we get coming out of the pit lane, Buda into 7th position. Nuno and Noms now running 1 and 2. We've seen that a lot of times in Sunday League, and this might just be the very last one, and that would be quite something to see them finish 1 and 2, reflecting a pretty historic rivalry, maybe less so in recent times. Oh, it looks like Corvid might have had a little bit of difficulty with the pit entry there. He's fighting Eurus over 9th and 10th positions. Let's see if Noms is making up any ground on Nuno. They've got the tunnel section, although not much of a tunnel there, entirely to themselves, and they'll be into the pits pretty soon. Nuno stays out Nomskar as well. They trust the medium tyres, and they're taking an overcut of a good few laps on the Anti-Amazing, and that should be, well, an interesting strategy for sure. Pimu comes in, he's being overtaken by Caddo and Sobel. Sobel up the inside of the Frenchman going to Sandavot, and that is a pretty risky move, but he's made it work well. He's on the softs, Caddo on the much older hard compound tyres, and that's not much of a match in terms of tyres. Indeed, Sobel looking to make another move here. Kuba on aged mediums, and we've got Anti and Buda fighting still ahead here as well. Coming into the pit lane finally is Nuno, and these two fighting might just have given him a little bit of breathing room. Doesn't look like it though. He'll come out level-headed with Anti and will come out of the pit lane into 4th position. Nomskar leaves the race. He has been famed for his weather radar, and the clouds are on the way, but it will need to turn into rain very, very shortly in order for this to work at all for him, with that huge overcut. Buda currently in the race lead and nobody in his slipstream. That is a very important detail indeed. Noms into the pit lane, and he'll be out a while behind these blokes. In fact, he might even be out next to Grandi and Hernandi, and the rain did not come for those who stretched out that first stint. Jaruni and Eurus, the only drivers left to make that first stop. Hetmanica.
Looking around, I think apart from the front where you've been looking, there aren't much battles, not too much interesting stuff going on. Andrews and Marta battling it out, but that's for 16th, so it's not the most interesting thing in the world, although it is Marta Andrews, so he'll make a way to find an aggressive pass anywhere. Not too much going on.
Anti in the slipstream now. It's an interesting tyre split between the top 3 here. We've got Buda running out in 1st place. He's on the soft compound tyre. Nuno on the hard in the slipstream there, improving with a PB, thanks to just being able to take Buda's lap time off him. And if you're a driver as experienced and as, well, fast as Nuno, you can pretty easily stay in the slipstream of drivers on the softs, the 2-step softer compound, even as fast as the likes of Buda, the Estonian man, still hunting his first win in Sunday League. We'll have to see if he'll finally be able to take it here today on the streets of the Principality. It's looking a little shaky. I think Anti just sort of half shaping up for a move there, and we'll have to see how that one develops. But I think for now, they'll be happy to just stick in a bit of a train. The soft for Buda will start to go off pretty soon, though, and he'll peel it into the pit lane. Noms running in 4th place in that golden decked FLF livery, celebrating a 19th win for Nomskar. And this is his, not quite his home circuit. He did actually tell... Oh, here we go. There's a little bit of battling going through the hairpin section, and it's a double lag rocket for Anti and Buda. They were complaining earlier in the week about being pushed into walls during practice races, and they've just gone and done it to each other there. That was a big lag rocket through the chicane section, and Buda on the soft still backs his tyres somewhat. Anti's just asking Buda to stay behind, slipstream him. Buda just wants to make the straight line speed of that soft work, and into the party, welcome Mr. Nomskar. He's in 4th place. We've got driver-to-driver communication for both the RMCs and the FLFs this race, so we'll have to see how team strategy can play into that. Oh, a little bit of lag for Noms. I think that's cleared. Hernandi and Pamushis currently running 5th and 6th, and Kubo in a very impressive 7th place. He finished his all-time best 6th last race, marginally missing out on a 5th position. Oh, Noms and Buda going side by side, nearly into the Nouvelle chicane. Noms decides to back out, but look at the tyre difference between him and Buda. So much fresher on those softs. Anti comes in, and this releases the man to race the Estonian driver, replacing him for next season. Nomskar still looking here. We're not confirming whether or not it is an actual retirement from the sport. He might be back at some point. We think that Nuno's is more confirmed, but Noms is definitely looking to maybe step aside just for a season. We'll have to see how new talent like Buda will be able to come through. He comes in to the pit lane here for his next stop in this Grand Prix, and we'll have to see how Nuno's been doing on that outlap. No, sorry, how really see anyone come into there, actually, but Buda will come out behind Kubo and Anti. Nuno still in the lead. Of course, sorry, he was on the hard compound tyre, so he is going to massively overcut in terms of a strategy at the moment. He's just got that lead, nice comfortable lead at the moment. It's 2 and a bit seconds over Noms, Pamushas in, and Kubo half shapes a move at Anti. That might put him into the clutches of Buda. Much fresher softs for him. Buda goes through into Sandoval. Anti asking for all those behind to slipstream him. Meanwhile, in the background, looks like we have a little bit of battling going on. Caddo and Grandi, perhaps, yeah. Got some cars behind fighting as well. Through Portier they go. And they're just going to slip through the tunnel section. Caddo still ahead on those slightly fresher hards. Het, what have you seen?
There was a great battle going on between like P10 and P15, I want to say. All the way between Danimator and Mart Andries. They were just, for a solid like 5 laps, just constantly duking it out, trading positions, nearly pushing each other into the pit while that happened a lot. Yeah, very interesting stuff.
You're right on the edge when you're racing here in Monaco, particularly through that very risky pit entrance. Buda and Anti will go through ahead of Nomska, who comes into the pit lane. We're yet to see any rain in this Monaco Grand Prix. It's been dry so far, but we've had a plethora of different strategies, and you tend to see that much more on base tracks than you do on customs, where often softs or hards, one of the two, will be a very meta tyre indeed. Nuno has about a pit stop gap on Buda. He won't be coming in. Maybe not this lap, maybe next lap. He definitely thinks he's able to stretch the hards quite a long way. But, of course, you have to be mindful of an undercut and potentially, of course, rain coming through after that. The undercut from Buda, which would put Buda into track position and then wipe the slate clean in terms of strategy. So you'll have to see how that develops. But Nuno currently still leading the Grand Prix, looking to take his 33rd and possibly final win in his Sunday League career. Sobel has joined in the fun. He's right behind Noms. Noms is on pretty fresh hards, and Sobel's just going to slip him for as long as he possibly can, but he's already getting some pretty bad wear. Pamushas, Kubo, Corvid, and Hanandi, and that's a big rocket into the wall there. And these guys are really getting the gloves off here. Pamushas leads this train. He's in 6th place. These drivers would all be happy with this high enough finishing position. Corvid is into the lane. I think that was a deliberate pit stop, but you never really know with battling into that section. Kubo up the inside is going to take the position off Pimu, who then pretty aggressively slams Nandi into the wall there, so we'll have to see how that one goes after the race. Nandi does currently hold the fastest lap of the Monaco Grand Prix, running in 8th position. Pimu might shape up for a move on Kubo here. Further behind, Danimator and Urus and Kraft, the Lynx Racing cars, running 10th and 11th currently. Jaruni, then it's Caddo and Grandi, and Corvid in 15th place, having just come in for new mediums. We've got the bell ringing for cars coming through the pit lane, although might be a false alarm because we've not got any in the lane at the moment. Hetmanica, anything to share?
Not much, no.
Fair enough. Nuno still leading us away here in Monaco. He's on very, very old hard compound tyres, and that is a pretty dangerous gap he's got to Buda now, because that gap was 7 seconds. It is closing, and it is closing, and it is closing. Anti was on the podium last time we raced at Monaco. He just had that podium spot taken off him by Nomskar now. Nuno is into the lane, and Buda will get a mighty undercut. The real danger will be Noms and Anti. Nuno comes out of the pit lane, and it's going to be side by side as they head up through Massenet as they go into the hairpin section. And Nuno is in this pack, and that might not be where he wants to be if Noms will be reluctant to let him through. But I think the driver on the pretty considerably older hard compound tyres will just slipstream the man running the duck egg blue livery for today's race. Nomskar and Nuno. Nuno, of course, finished 5th last time we raced in Monaco with a collision with the pit entry wall, and that is why we see that place has been so dangerous. That is, I think, was pretty much his only non-podium finish of the season. Go on, what's happening?
Hanandi, there was a big battle for like 5th between 5 cars. Hanandi at just after Santa Vot, like the big top right chicane. He just died. Just got sent like in the middle of the wall, like right at the left of the track at the runoff. He just got left behind. And
that would make sense because he's in 8th place at the moment and he's well detached from the pack ahead. And I think from the apology in the chat, it might have been teammate Sobel who sent him into the wall. Danny and Sobel are cautiously approaching the Nouvelle Chicane here. This is the fight over 5th position. Anti and Buda are into the pit, and Nomskar is slipstreaming Nuno, and this could really play into his hands, especially with any rain soon potentially into the Nouvelle Chicane. they go. Buda still running in third place, and he has come in for fresh soft. So although he did get that undercut on Nuno, he's basically out of sync with the pit stops. He will be taking that extra stop over the Portuguese drivers, Noms and Nuno. But it's great to see them just wind through this very technical and tricky sector of Monaco, where you can't be taking too much time lost on the exit of the wall into the tunnel section, because that's going to hinder you all the way down that little straight. We'll have a look further back. Buda runs in third place, a tyre rundown at the moment. Nuno on the mediums there, a little bit worn. Nomskar on more worn hards, but this is a good position for him to be in. He looked detached from that front pack all race long so far, but as long as he keeps that slipstream, it's going to play more and more into his hands, and then a potential undercut, and this is fascinating strategy here. Nuno looks to be slightly held up there, and Noms just had half a look up there into Raskas. You've got to be brave to make a move into the Raskas corner. And he didn't quite want to go for it that time. Slipstream would be most beneficial for him. Buda currently looking in third place. And Goose, if you wouldn't mind just taking the current results, how's that looking for our third place in the championship? I'll get back to you on that in a couple seconds. If you get the
right now the gap from Danimator to Nandy was 177 to 174, and Danimator's sitting ahead of him right now, so Hanandy's going to have to beat him by more than 2 positions.
Hanandy down in 11th. That's not something we've seen in a very long time from the LSA driver, but he has, of course, just pitted for fresh softs. Also coming to the pit lane was Danimator, who'll come out, and we've got a bit of lag. Let's hope that this all solves itself very, very quickly indeed.
Ooh.
We're back. Nuno still leads here in Monaco, ahead of Nomskar. We had a brief disruption for lag, but we are back racing once more. Anti in 4th, and Sobel is into the lane. We'll have a look at who's challenging behind. It's Jurist. That's fantastic for him, and he's found his way right up the field. He's in 5th position at the moment here in Monaco. He is a very, very difficult man to overtake in Monaco, and I can say that from experience. The last time we raced here, I had to, I think, overtake him in the runoff at the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane after a lag rocket, so that is your proof in the pudding. Danny's looking for a move here. This is going to be a risky one, and it puts puts Jurist on the pit entry wall. I mean, he'd be coming in soon anyways, in fairness.
Neck and neck at the front.
Oh, that's difficult. That's really difficult. And coming through now, it's Nuno and it's Nomskar, and that is, big for Jurist. Poor fella. But still, we've got this. In first place, it's Nuno. In second place, it's Noms. And Noms is on very old hards, but you can take those such a long time. Will he finally pull the undercut this lap? He's coming in to the pit lane. We will watch very attentively to see who comes through. It looks like Buda will get him. Will Anti, who just comes through the swimming pool chicane now, do the same? Buda through the pit exit will come through ahead, and Nomskar exits up the hill through the first sector in a very nice clear patch of track in third position. He will be thanking his lucky stars that we have coasted blues since season 8 onwards, and some races in season 7, because back in season 6 or season 4 it would have been a difficult job to try and have a good clean race up top if you've got a lot of lapped cars in between you. But we haven't had a fight for the win, just Nomskar v Nuno for, well, we've seen it recur sometimes, some seasons. Season 8 we saw it a lot. This really could be our chance, and Nuno will surely be coming to the pit lane very soon. He's going to extend for another lap on those medium compound tyres. This must be it for him. We've got Buda behind, who's taken a stop extra, but is now almost resynced to the same strategy, because Nuno only has slightly more worn mediums than Buda has softs. Noms on his mediums has torn his way through over the last couple laps, and Nuno surely will be coming in. No, he stays out again. This is incredible from Nuno. He's going to have to go for a very short stint at the end. Maybe the softs for 12 laps will be all that he needs to take him to the checkered flag. But every lap that he goes will put a slight more bit of doubt in Nomskar's mind, because if you can undercut and stick within the slipstream with a slightly older tyre, you've got a fair chance. If you can undercut, he really needs to keep track position here. Nuno comes in for maybe his final pit stop in Sunday League, definitely under the Sunday League name. Nuno is in. Nomskar goes through, undercuts, and Nomskar leads the Monaco Grand Prix here in Sunday League Season 11. He's looked for a win since Gosno. He won there due to some rain late on in the race, giving it to him. But this has been all on strategy, and the key for him here is to just be able to keep that position over Nuno. The gap is 2.39 seconds down to 2.2 seconds as we come up to start lap 50 of 60 here in Monaco. This will be a fantastic, fascinating finale. And a great finish that we're in for as well. Don't count out Buda. He's running in 3rd place and he's on the fresh softs. Just a little fresher than Nuno's. I think they came in on the exact same lap. Noms still leads as we go on to lap 51. We'll have a look down at the midfield for the time being before the front pack closes up again. Antti on track to finish in 4th place, but Danny has recovered very nicely up to 5th. He'll be into the pit lane soon though, right now. Behind him, we've got Sober running in 6th position. Grandy just made a mistake and Kubo up the inside into Tabak. That's a lovely little overtake. Grandy into the pit lane. Pamusha's behind them. Then it's Kado a lap down from our race leader. It's Uris behind him. He's in 11th place. Andy down in 12th at the moment has just made, again, a stop for those fresh softs, as has Grandy, who will come out right down the order, neck and neck with Andres, and it's going to be 16th place for the Finnish driver at the moment. The SCPs are going to have a lovely old scrap in a league of their own, although maybe not in the way that they'd want. Nuno has closed that gap to 1.3 seconds. This is a monumental task. It's a Portuguese man in the lead. It's a Portuguese man in 2nd place. They have the most 1-2s out of any driver pairing in Sunday League history, and it might just be another one here today. And how fitting that would be to see them both leave the sport next season after its 100th race, but come home 1-2 after an enthralling battle to the finish here. Nomskar is on the medium. That is the sturdier tyre, but Nuno on the soft is on the faster and fresher tyre. We come across the line to start lap 54. Just 7 left to run here in Sunday League Season 11. And it is Nuno half a second back. So close to that slipstream range. Will he be within it as they come out through Portier? A little touch of the wall, but he will be right behind Nomskar. Will this be the overtake for the lead of the race? He might just bide his time here, Nuno. He doesn't need to rush it. He's got the tyre advantage. He's going to go side by side up the main straight, and he squeezed into the wall, just as we saw in Zandvoort, but this time it was not on the final lap. It's on lap 54. We're on to 55 now, and up the inside of Portier, coming into the tunnel section, Nuno goes. Noms might just see it as the wisest move to try and stick in the slipstream. The tyre advantage is there for Nuno, but Noms may just be able to hang on to those old mediums. He's nearly pulling alongside Zandvoort, just taking the wider line through the corner. This will be a thrilling fight to focus on in the final laps. Noms has a half look up the inside, takes a very wide line, gets a great exit, challenges into the Nouvelle Chicane. Nomskar might just take it. They collide coming into the Nouvelle Chicane, and this is great racing between two Sunday League legends, two of the best drivers in the history of the sport, and Nomskar on lap 57 maintains the lead of the Monaco Grand Prix. Who said overtaking at Monaco is difficult? These two are proving just how easy it can be, but they're really having to fight for it. Nuno still with the fresher soft compound tyre. Will he try it into Raskas? Yes, he will. Noms wide into the wall. They touch again through Anthony Nuge, and Nuno once more takes the lead of the race off him. I could not tell you which one of these drivers is gonna finish lap 60 in the lead of the race, because they are neck and neck, wheel to wheel. Noms takes a slightly worse exit coming into the tunnel section. This is a heroic, monumental fight between these two drivers. We have 2 laps left to run, and they are still just separated by 1/10 of a second. They are going to go all out for this. There are no more laps left to run after this race. Nothing left in the season. They are both fighting Nuno for a record-breaking 8th win, and Nomskar to maintain his record as the only driver to ever win a Sunday League Monaco Grand Prix. They would both desire that so much, and 1 lap is all that we've got left here. Nomskar up the inside into Zandvoort. Nuno will hang it in round the outside. Up through Massenet they go, and Nuno still in the lead. Noms skates just into the back of him there. We've got clouds on the way, but no rain forecasted. This might be one of his last chances into the Nouvelle. Noms will slipstream Nuno through to back. Down into Raskas could be the place to go. Is he going to be close enough? Not quite. And Nuno will cross the line to win the Monaco Grand Prix. And Nomskar by a hair's breadth will take 2nd place. And that is truly a fight for the win that absolutely warrants the 100th ever Sunday League race. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable racing. Danometer and Kubo 6th place for him. That's another great result. Grandy will finish in 7th and the LSA's 8th. And 9th, and Andy ducks out of the way of his teammate Pimo and Corvid. Then it's Caddo, Kraft, and Rooney all across the line. Eurus, and then Andries, Suicide, and Gwetzley. Hell, what do you think of that race? That was really quite something.
Happy 100th anniversary to Sunday League, and welcome Ultimate League.
For the first time in Sunday League history, the winner and second place are separated across the line by 0.00 seconds. And for the second race running, we're going to have to decide which one of those two drivers won the race. But I think via spectator view, it was Nuno and Rapid Motorsport that did it. Honestly, if we could, I'd give the race win to both drivers. Because they both deserved it just as much as each other. Nuno with a great start and a great lead, breaking free from that pack. And Nomskar just sticking in that slipstream range, fighting his way back from outside the podium positions up into second place and taking that slipstream advantage to its fullest. And at the end, on tyres that were absolutely done and not dirty racing, absolutely going for it, wheel to wheel. And that is probably the best racing that I've seen in Sunday League. Buddha.
Also, in the race chat, we can already see a bit of a scrap going on between Jurist and Danimator because of their little incident in the race.
Well, we'll have to have that one investigated after the race. But Buddha will finish third for Mayhem, and that will be him as the runner-up in the Drivers' Championship. Fantastic for him to do that, and that might just tee up a championship run for next season. We'll have to see if Buddha will be our Ultimate League Season 12 champion. Or might it be someone else coming through? We don't know. Antti will finish off the podium in a very respectable fourth. It's Danimator in fifth ahead of Kubo, who ties his best ever result once again. It's going to be Grandy ahead of the LSAs in 8th and 9th. Hanandi just moved to one side to allow Sobel through. Not quite where they want to be, but they had fun, I'm sure. Corvid will take 10th place. Pamushis in 11th with the fastest lap. And Caddo in 12th. Kraft in 13th. Jaruni, then Eurist, Andries, then Suicide, and Gwetzley. Now, do we have Nuno in VC? Because if we do, I'd love an interview. Nuno, 0.00 across the line, but I think you won that one. How does that feel to win in Sunday League's 100th race, your 33rd race win in your 5th championship winning season? Give us your feelings.
It's amazing. Like, wasn't really expecting to even fight for the win, like, or even the pole position. That was amazing.
Yeah, pole. You dominated all weekend, man.
I got a really good start, and I think good strategy as well, and I think that really gave me the edge in the end. Then it was a really fun battle. Ricardo's who actually won. I think it was really amazing, and to battle Noms, I think he's the guy who I respect the most in SEL. So much fast pace. He gave me a lot of heart attacks, and yeah, in the end, I just like to be thankful to everyone. It's should be my final race because of things with university and stuff, and yeah, I would like to thank all of you from the community. I think it's been some really special moments. Felt always very welcome, and I think it's been always a good time. Also, I would like to thank someone, which was Apli, who I forgot to thank in the video. Mostly because he created the game, of course, and I think he's the reason why we all got all united here. And yeah, he really managed to put me like thousands of hours in the computer because of him. It's a bit weird, but it was really lots of fun. I'm really happy with all of this, and thank you guys.
Brilliant. What a way to end the season. And right after this, I think we're going to have some post-race celebratory donuts, as is tradition. But for the race video and for Sunday League as a whole, for the final time, goodbye.